My name again is Marlon Ritzman. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Kansas City FBI office. We're here today to discuss our national initiative of laser strikes against aviation aircraft. We began this initiation in February of this year with 12 major metropolitan cities, and once we started this initiative, we noticed a 19% reduction in laser strikes. One of the things that we're here to do today is to put out public knowledge, or put out information to the public that lasing any aircraft is a violation of federal law. To give you some numbers and statistics, we started actually tracking laser strikes on aircraft in 2005. And in 2005, there were approximately 283 reported laser strikes. In 2013, there were 3,960 reported laser strikes of aircraft. That's almost 11 a day. We feel there's probably several hundred, if not thousands, of more strikes that are occurring that are unreported. And again, the purpose here today is to put it out to the public that if you aim a laser at an aircraft, be it civilian, commercial aircraft, military aircraft, media helicopters, medevac helicopters, it's a violation of federal law. A couple of the issues that we have with this is obviously this presents a hazard to the pilots, it's a danger to the crews, and the FBI views lasing aircraft as an imminent threat to public safety. The FBI is committed today to finding and prosecuting people who violate federal law and point lasers at aircraft. As part of our initiative mentioned earlier, we are offering a $10,000 reward for the next 90 days for any information leading to individuals who are lasing aircraft. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to the United States Attorney for the District of Kansas, Barry Grissom, for any comments. Sir.
Well, thank you. As was said, putting a laser at any aircraft is a violation of federal law. That violation carries a penalty of up to 5 years in federal prison. Just recently, there was a case in the Eastern District of California where an individual was actively engaged in targeting and shooting lasers at aircraft. Even as part of the police chase, he was shooting lasers. That individual received 14 years in federal prison. Our office is working with the FBI to get that very simple message out, which is, if you think this is a prank, you're mistaken. Don't let a prank send you to prison. We're here in the air capital of our nation, in Wichita. We have a great deal of commercial, private, and military aircraft coming and going daily. I would hate to think that someone who thought that they were engaged in a harmless prank would subject themselves to federal prison. In addition to the issues reported around being punished by being incarcerated in prison, there are also very heavy fines that can be levied against individuals. Even if somebody were not to go to prison, fines that could put you in a position of almost financial ruin if you engage in this activity. Folks might think that this is nothing more than a prank, that someone aiming a laser, shooting a little light beam at an aircraft isn't serious. Pilots will tell you that when one of these lasers hits the cockpit, it is a blinding effect. And if that effect were to have the unfortunate result of an aircraft crashing or having to take an evasive action to where crew members or passengers were harmed by that action, that would, if that individual was captured, that would enhance that person's punishment. As was said, last year, 3,960 laser strikes were reported. We're hoping that this effort at public awareness will help solve that problem. And as was indicated, there is going to be an FBI reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to anyone who has been engaged in this conduct. We're hopeful that we don't have any laser strikes. We're hoping that we don't have to spend $10,000. But make no mistake, if someone is engaged in this kind of conduct and they're presented to our office by the FBI, they will be prosecuted. Thank you.
Next in order, Chief Sanders.
Good morning. Like you said, my name is Roger Sanders, the Chief, Airport Police and Fire Division for Wichita Mid-Continent Airport. First, I want to say the Wichita Airport Authority wants to thank the FBI for bringing this campaign to this region. The purpose of this campaign is to educate and inform the local community about the seriousness and the consequences that laser illumination attack on aircraft bring. The safety of our air crews, the flying public, and the general citizens on the ground are our utmost concerns and priorities. In 2012, we had 10 reported laser illumination attack on aircraft. 2013, that number more than doubled to 23, 130% increase. Like we said earlier, that doesn't count the the laser illumination attacks that go unreported. Mid-Continent Airport alone handles approximately 160,000 general aviation, commercial airline, and military aircraft that take off and land at this airport alone. It only takes one laser illumination attack that causes a major incident for the citizens of Wichita and the surrounding area in a negative way. So please help us inform and educate the public about the dangers of laser illumination attack. Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to introduce Steve Matthews. He's Lieutenant Colonel with the United States Air Force.
As you said, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Steve Matthews from McConnell Air Force Base, but I'm also a pilot flying and operating some of the aircraft out of that location. And I will echo what they've already said up here. It's important to recognize and we applaud the FBI and local law enforcement efforts to educate, but also prosecute those who perhaps use lasers in a way that are not meant to be used. Our primary concern will always be the safety of our air crews, our pilots, and how we operate the aircraft, certainly anywhere in the world that we go, but especially here in the local community. And it's important to realize, as these gentlemen have already echoed, it's not just about putting that aircraft in danger or those pilots in danger. We also are safety minded as far as flying over this community. So realize that folks do need to take this seriously. We certainly take it seriously, and it is a concern for us to ensure that we not only keep our pilots safe, but you safe as well.
All right, that pretty well concludes it. Again, Nate had mentioned earlier that you can go to our website, fbi.gov, for additional information, and he's distributing a CD that actually has a demonstration of the effects of the laser light on a pilot and on an aircraft. Briefly, though, we can take a few questions pertaining to this subject matter, if anybody has any.
Hey, one quick one. Colonel, Roger mentioned some of the ones that were here at Mid-Continent. Have you had laser sightings there at McConnell Air Force?
Not directly that I'm aware of. Probably the most recent one that I'm aware of was probably a year or so ago with one of our aircraft on its approach and landing phase coming in from the south back to McConnell. I'm not aware of the actual specifics of that, but I do know the crew had issues with, again, the distractions that lasers pointed aircraft can cause.
Explain again kind of what the effect of the blast that the laser can cause inside the cockpit.
The bottom line is taking a focused beam of light and pointing at the aircraft, particularly the windows. Our biggest concern is typically this will happen low altitude, critical phases of flight for us, whether it be takeoff or, as I said, approach and landing. The effect can range anywhere from a light dazzling, maybe small, to perhaps broader. But the effect is, whether it's temporarily or in higher energy cases, can cause more permanent damage. It will affect the visual ability of the aircrew operating the aircraft, and obviously that low to the ground, whether you have passengers on board or not, and certainly the community in which the airport is located, that's a concern for us. Typically, it can be a bigger issue at night because at that point your eyes have already adapted to the low light levels, but again, depending on the type of laser, it can still be an issue during daylight as well.
Are there certain lasers that are maybe more dangerous that you're looking at specifically?
I really couldn't go into the specifics on it, but what I would say is obviously higher energy, their higher output that a laser can produce obviously could probably have worse effects for the aircrew.
Randy, have there been any documented cases of injuries, either on flights or on room, actions taken by the pilot attributable to this action?
I personally do not. It is part of our basic pilot training education to make sure that they are aware that this kind of hazard does exist. And when incidences may happen, either way, the first stop for our pilots will be straight to a flight surgeon or medical to make sure that they are still, healthy and capable of executing the mission.
I can add a little more to it. Currently, to date, the FBI does not have any information directly relating any specific aviation accident to a laser strike. However, part of this initiative is, again, to educate the public and to prevent any future accident relating from that. And from your earlier question, too, the time frame that we've tracked, most of these laser strikes occur between midnight, 7 a.m. in the morning, with, again, the vast majority of those occurring between approximately 3 and 4 a.m. in the morning.
How many people have been charged since the initial launch in February, or arrested?
Since we started this campaign, I'm not sure if it goes back, how far it goes back, but we've arrested 141 individuals. There's been 104 prosecutions, and of those, 84 have actually been convicted.
Any particular demographics involved?
No, it's a crime that anybody can commit, teenager, young adult, older person, male, female. Again, it's a tool as simple as an inexpensive laser pointer that is commercially available anywhere.
Like an educator might use it in a classroom even?
Exactly, something that simple.
The dramatic spike that we've seen in this kind of incident, I mean, is there a reason or a cause or why this?
We don't have a specific answer as to what is causing the spike. It could be just the fact that we're tracking it more. It could be the fact more people are reporting it, and it is something that, unfortunately, as maybe as stated earlier, word of mouth, it's fun, let's do this, without realizing that what you're doing is violating federal law and putting lives at risk.
Are you aware of anyone posting YouTube videos doing this from the ground?
I'm sorry?
Are you aware of anyone posting YouTube videos about their actions?
I'm personally not aware of that, no, sir.
Hey, Roger, go over those two numbers again, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, in 2012, we had a total of 10 laser illumination reports. In 2013, that number jumped to 23.